Rain drummed against the glass like 1,000 tiny fists beating out my shame. I stood just inside the foyer of the gallery, my messenger bag soaked through, numb fingers clamped around the strap. I wore the one blazer that fit, dark jeans, clunky shoes. I'd spent 2 weeks agonizing over how to look serious but not try hard, only for the whole effort to come apart under the low buzz of a half-emptied wine night. The gallery's director of new media smoothed his thin hair, smiling in that polite soul way that let you know he'd rather be negotiating a phone plan than talking to another desperate indie. My laptop, still open, glowed with the menu screen of the game I'd made over 2 long years. The stylized cityscape, a digital soul, shimmered with purposeful programmed rain, a joke. "We appreciate your effort, Min-jun," the director said, voice sanded of empathy. "You're clearly passionate." I took a breath, held it in my chest. All I wanted was a small show, a single week's installation. Just let people see what I'd made, feel the world I'd programmed from scratched code and sleepless nights and debt. "What is it you think we're missing?" I asked, hearing my voice stumble and stutter, too loud against the gallery's hush. The director's lip curled. "It's a video game," he said, as if breaking unwelcome news. "Our audience isn't looking for this kind of thing. Why not approach an arcade?" Behind him, my cousin Sunmai hid a smile behind her hand, flipping her streaming app and whispering to her boyfriend, who clutched a damp umbrella. Pain prickled between my eyes. "It's art," I said, quieter now, another polite nod. The gallery staff slid sideways glances at my digital city as if it might infect the marble floors. "We both know it isn't, Min-jun. Thank you for your time." I folded my laptop shut, the metallic sigh loud in my ears. I walked into the night doused by November rain, each drop cold and hard, streaking my cheeks. The city's neon gutters mirrored oily light as I waded through the rivered street homeward. I returned to my studio, a glorified one-room office under the BK line, mattress pressed to the wall, cables snaking everywhere. My breathing tremored, the shame sinking deeper as the echoes played. Sunmai's giggle, my father's bewildered voice, games, Min-jun, not work, just playing, and the gallery man with his thin patience. But even in that moment, tenderness and steel warred in my chest. I remembered mornings huddled over my old gaming console, watching my parents' closed bedroom door, escaping into worlds where I was strong, clever, and understood. Even at my lowest, a fragment of that early magic survived, a fierce, gentle pulse that said, "Make them see." Family dinners became scenes of theatrical disappointment. My mother, hands slick from washing radish and rice, pressed her lips thin. My father, bowing over the printer factory ledgers, talked numbers and respect. My brother Young-ho piled my plate with kimchi, his way of trying to feed a hope he didn't believe. In our cramped Gangseo apartment, the corners overflowed with family history but no tolerance for failed ambitions. My uncle Seok, a man with opinions as heavy as his construction boots, heaved noisy sighs when I tried to explain debug logs or level design. "You could teach math with your computer," he said, stabbing at anchovy banchan, "not these children's toys." "I'm not making toys," I replied. No one listened. They laughed about the futility. "Who celebrates a game developer in our family?" my aunt giggled. "Maybe if you win a lottery, Min-jun." Once, Sunmai filmed a secret video of me coding in my studio for her broadcasting channel, giggling narration, overlaying shaky footage of me hunched over the keyboard. "My cousin, the game geek," she squealed. "What a husband he'll make, folks." The comments that followed were all mocking quips about man-babies and playing for a living, racking up laughs and likes. From the other side of the wall, I heard my mother's muffled apologies to neighbors. Every day, I walked to a part-time shift at a copy shop, breathing printer toner and the stale air of giving up. I counted out any mood-boosting purchases. Sometimes an egg sandwich, more often instant ramyun. But at night, I returned to my digital city. Inside my game, I poured every wish, maze-like rooftops of Marpo, subway lines that led to secret parks, struggling single fathers and lonely children as NPCs, each one programmed with backstories stitched from overheard conversations and memory. I wanted to show how light could be wrung from isolation, how even lost people shaped their own legends. It was slow and it was lonely. Money nearly ran out. Some mornings I woke convinced I should apply for tech support jobs, erase this reckless dream. But I kept at it, refining textures, pushing out beta versions, sending hopeful emails to indie dev forums and international calls for pitches. 3 years creeped by. My city grew richer on the screen, but my real world narrowed. The rain outside my window became less a backdrop and more a soundtrack. The breakthrough came in a message marked urgent. A US-based indie publisher, story-driven games with a cult following. They'd liked the short demo I'd sent and saw something different beneath the surface, soul as both myth and memory. After a marathon of video calls and paperwork, they offered a contract, modest money but more than I'd ever imagined. A translation team would help localize, a small budget for music and marketing, contracts signed. At 2 a.m. surrounded by empty instant rice bowls, I let myself believe. Even with the publisher's backing, the work was grueling. 8 months of debugging, redrawing, revoicing lines. I slept sitting up so often my back spasmed, but each time my body tried to collapse, I remembered the gallery man, the family giggles, the sting of walking home in the rain. I wanted to hand the city back to them, say, look, this is real. The publisher worked their own small magic, a feature on a major YouTube gamer, a week atop the Indie Rex list. My digital city, titled Neon Han River *, found players, first in New York and Toronto and Berlin, but soon after in Seoul. Messages poured in from strangers who saw themselves in my world. Lonely daughters, exhausted office workers, old men remembering their vanished blocks. They sent screenshots pointing out street corners that felt like home. A month after release, gaming cafes hung banners for Neon Han River *. One day, Sunmai's boyfriend sent me a photo, a group of teenagers clustered, laughing, then silent, all eyes fixed on the game's opening sequence. For once, the applause was not a joke. Success did not arrive as fireworks, it seeped in gently like color returning to frostbitten fingers. I paid off my debts. A university professor asked to interview me about urban narrative in Korean indie games. For the first time, my name appeared in a tech magazine, small font among the credits but still mine. After months of missed birthdays and text message apologies, I got the invitation, my family's 30-year wedding anniversary celebration. My father's company finally hit a profit milestone. Both sides of the family, new in-laws and old grudges, all assembling under a restaurant's golden lights. I almost declined, but I had changed, I wanted to go. The night of the dinner, the city trembled with late spring heat. I wore the same blazer from the gallery debacle, better for my now broader shoulders, pressed and faintly scented with lavender. A cab ferried me through streets more familiar from fiction than fact. Inside the banquet room, relatives swirled, voices loud, plates clinking. Sunmai's father-in-law, now a fan of my publisher's other games, raised his glass at me, half smiling. My brother Jung-ho nodded, eyes proud but too shy for words. Even my parents, stiff-backed in New Hanbok, greeted me with a nervous, tentative warmth. I found my uncle Seok surrounded by a knot of ajushis, waving off some debate about K-pop tickets. And there is our Min Jun, he boomed, making his computer games. Did you finally find a real job yet, eh? The table laughed, not unkindly but with that edge that never quite dulled. My mother stepped in. He has. The young ones, they play his game in the Hagwon after class. I saw them at the PC bang myself. Seok grinned. Ah, so it's true, not some children's gimmick. I nodded, the heat rising to my ears. It's out now. Maybe we can see it if the restaurant internet works. The younger cousins perked up. Wi-Fi was an event anywhere near older relatives. Sunmai, hair now cut short and sharp, produced her phone with a flourish. I have it, she trilled. A sigh swept around the table, some amazed, some still skeptical. She mirrored her phone to the restaurant's TV, connecting fingers with an ease I could never fake. The screen flickered, restaurant lights glancing off its surface. The opening sequence of Neon Han River played, rain over neon, the digital city blooming like night flowers. My signature appeared, simple white text on midnight blue, Min Jun Park. As the camera panned to a father and daughter on a Mapo bridge, avatars coded but full of heartbreak, the room fell quiet, even the children stilled, noodles dangling midair. An old aunt dabbed her eyes. That looks just like our street when we first moved to the city. The camera's POV shifted, a lost mother searching for a hidden alley, echoes of my own, NPCs that resembled family faces, not literal but in the gestures, the way they sighed or turned their heads, these flickered across the screen. Uncle Seok blinked. Wait, that old shop is Mr. Han's Bakery. You put Mr. Han's Bakery in a game. I did, I said, my voice was steady, and the man inside bakes chestnut bread just like he did for us after school. People pointed, chattering. Jung-ho grinned wider than I'd ever seen, pride burning bright. My parents, so careful with their feelings, locked eyes over the table, my mother's hand resting on my father's, real and shaking. The rest of the family saw the city as I'd coded it, not a caricature but a living memory. Neighborhoods and alleys they'd long left behind, rendered eternal in pixels and light. Siok leaned back for once short of words. He knocked back a shot of soju, then clapped me on the shoulder, his grip rough but perhaps for the first time truly respectful. Well, Minjun, he managed, that's something. A laugh escaped my chest, startled and unguarded. I suppose it is. After the meal, aunts pressed coins into my hand, as if I were 9 again, a child with good grades. The children circled me, demanding secrets, hints, the next update. On the walk home, disappointment had transmuted, still there, lingering, but gilded now with acceptance. Seoul breathed around me, its grit and neon matched only by the impossible city that lived behind my eyes. I paused beneath a streetlight, rain glancing off my upturned face. All those years ago, I'd walked this same street in bitterness, battered by a world that dismissed hopeful dreamers. Now the rain felt different, cleansing, forgiving, full of promise. Home looked much the same, but I entered it carrying something new, vindication, fierce and gentle, no longer needing to shout. My mother met me in the threshold, soft-eyed as she had never allowed herself to be. She touched my arm, squeezing past words. You did well, Minjun, she said, voice threading between pride and apology. I smiled, swallowing the tears. The city outside hummed, brighter by a degree I'd never noticed. Not every hurt is mended, but some become the very steel we forge ourselves from. Up in my studio, I powered up the old laptop. Emails waiting, some from strangers, some from fellow dreamers. I wrote back, told my story, sent encouragement into the ether. I could still hear the rain on the glass. I let it in at last as a song.